I'm bringing you guys today an amazing podcast with Trey Cockrum. I'm sure you guys probably know him. I remember when I was getting started in the game back in 2019, after I bought my first agency course from Iman. Trey's channel was one of the channels that I would love to consume content from, because he was one of those channels that would share a lot of principles and a lot of mindset and a lot of strategic things that he was essentially leveraging to be able to scale his business. So it was really cool to have him a few years later on my platform to have this podcast. So I believe you guys are going to be able to enjoy it. He's going to be sharing his hybrid method that he's using to scale a lot of his clients, and I totally agree with his strategy. I think it's an amazing process. And they're also expecting a kid. So Trey, if you're watching this, I'm super happy for you. Congrats. In my opinion, building a family is one of the greatest accomplishment, if not the greatest accomplishment that you can have. So super proud, and I'm super grateful for you to have made the time to jump on a call with me. So please enjoy this podcast and learn from this young king. I love y'all. Bye-bye. Yeah. I think for me, getting this place was more of like how can I say this? It was more like, hey, let me just put a stamp on like, hey, I've done it. Now let me play the game, not chasing materialistic stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So,
because I saw you into this place and I'm like, dude, like, I think that's why you do stuff like that. The trophies it's trophies.
Yeah.
Like Hall of Famers, like, you know what I mean? They keep their trophies. You know what I mean? They keep them around. I think that's what materialistic stuff is, dude. It's trophies. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I've never judged somebody for wanting material things. I'm moving into a stage now, though, where I've got a kid coming, my wife and I, and I've always been very vulnerable. Like, we weren't planning it, dude. It's like God's timing completely. We got married and turns out we're having a kid. Yeah. So it's just like, it changes.
Yeah.
And you're like, you move into this very sacrificial energy. So, and it's like, I don't want my kid to think that he didn't get what he might have needed because I was living a certain way, which I could still be doing that, but you start to see everything through the perception of what your son's going to think of you.
Yeah.
It's no longer like business, dude. It's all like, I've got a story I'm going to tell my kid now. I'm going to tell him how I handle these things and who I am and everything. And it's just like, it's who you become, man. Which we were like talking super briefly. And by the way, it's the first time I'm like actually hanging out with you in a long time. So I mean, I remember we were kind of in space like forever ago. And I think you sent me this message about me doing like pull-ups or something. And I was like, there's a guy, who's this freaking guy? And then look at you, man. It's super impressive what you've done. I admire it and I respect it. And it's just cool to be hanging with you. So,
yeah, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I wanted to just have you on. I know we were talking a little bit like a few weeks ago. But for me, I'd love to, because I think something that a lot of people are now talking about in this space, at least not a lot, right? Some people here and there are talking about it, but is the fact that the industry is changing and everybody's just still pushing the same BS. And I'd love to get into the realm of like how, because here's the thing, a lot of info marketers or marketers or people online, we're still kind of like, it's an industry that is so new that most people have yet to go through a shift, right? Now, since, even for me, I'm like, oh, okay, this is how markets change. This is how, as an example, this is how literally like evolutions, how something evolves, right? But because the industry is so small, no one actually talks about how markets are supposed to evolve and how competition changes the market and how the landscape is changing, right? So I'm just getting on a few pods, inviting people, having discussions with a lot of people, just try to talk through, what are their observations and what plans or how things are, how people are approaching.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, I mean, my opinion is that honestly, dude, I'm of the opinion, and maybe we could talk about this, that actually nothing ever changes, and like the foundations are always the same. Yeah. Like it's people come and go who cling to non-foundational things. So, but if you're good with the fundamentals, man, you're always going to be around.
Yeah.
It's just that the non-fundamentals are where one man builds his business off of a bag of sticks and then sells you that bag of sticks, and now you've built your business off of sticks as well. And there's a lot of that happening. You know what I mean? but I just think if you could just be patient and just like, dude, just slow down. We're all so young. I can't imagine
Yeah.
anybody on this podcast is any older than like 26, maybe. You know what I mean? And message me if I'm wrong, dude. But we have like our whole life, dude. And like I was thinking about this morning in the gym, man. I was listening to
Yeah.
this podcast, Stephen Covey's son. Do you know 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it's
You've
the
seen the
book.
book?
Yeah.
Great book. Great book.
Yeah, I
And it
haven't read
talks
it
about
yet
this,
though.
but he was raising his son, and he tells this story of like, um, it just struck me. He was like telling a story of like his son being responsible and everything, and it's like his son's 7 or 8 years old. I'm
Mhm.
23. I'll be 30 when my son is 7 or 8. I'll be 30.
That's
You know what I
great.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like people are just in such a hurry, man. That's the problem, is this space is so envious, and
Yeah.
people are in a hurry to catch up with what they see is happening. They're not doing it for themselves, truly. A lot of people I've found, when I really get real with people,
Yeah.
they're doing it because they don't feel like they size up and they want to feel like they're keeping up
Yeah.
with what's happening, you know? And
Yeah.
you got to come from a better place than that, man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna build your business off of sticks too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna go with the
Yeah.
newest thing.
Talking
Yeah.
about just essentially just trying to essentially just compete with others and just measuring yourself to others. For me, one thing I
Hmm.
do is on social media, I actually try not to follow a lot of people in this space because
Hmm.
I want to play the game my way. Well, I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't want to know what's your revenue. I could care less because just because you're winning today does not mean what you're doing is actually the right
No,
thing, right?
no. Yeah.
So sometimes it's important for, but most people don't see it. Most people can't think for themselves, are are just looking at people's numbers and basing that person insights based on the numbers they're doing. And for sure, if someone is making
Yeah.
more money, they might be doing something that you're not, which they're doing something right. But on long
Yeah.
term, on a big time horizon wise, like it may not necessarily be the best thing.
Yeah. I just think I've always been humbled by my dad, man. My dad, he's my spiritual mentor and my guide, dude. And he's always been like, dude, you don't even know how to think long term yet. You're 23.
Mm,
Like I was showing like, hey man, I put like 200 grand in the bank this month. Like check it. And he's like, that's great, but
yeah,
like you're 23, man. Like you don't have the capacity. And I'm always like, oh, like screw you, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. But I'm like,
yeah,
actually, yeah, you're right. I can't think that way. And I think that that's the big problem with the space. When I just underline it, it's just short-term thinking and just modeling, like whoever's making the most money is whoever's making the most money at that time, and it's totally fine. And it's like it is what it is.
yeah,
But yeah, the long term, man, the thing that really lasts is brand. Who you are. People buy you as much as they buy the products. And so I think the reason why guys like Iman Gaji, and even way outside of this, like Dave Ramsey, you know what I
mm,
mean? Like succeed is because they just invest into that for decades.
yeah,
Who is Dave Ramsey? You know what I mean? Like the dude is like, he's got this backstory, where he came from, why he started this. I was reading his book, Entree Leadership, and his story of all these failures of starting Ramsey Solutions.
yeah.
And it's like the person is the product in this space. And so any strategies that don't point back to the person somehow, I just think are ultimately building sticks, dude.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
interesting. So for
Yeah.
you, what have you been working on? Because I know you over the last year, I guess you've kind of like been a little quiet, right? Uh, and so,
I'm
but
married
I
now,
feel
man. I'm married.
you what? You're married?
I'm married. Yeah, dude, my
Yeah.
marriage. Like the highest ROI thing I can work on is my relationship with my wife,
Mm,
dude, because she's not going anywhere. I don't believe in divorce as a concept. We're stuck.
mhm.
It's done.
Let's go.
So
I
like I
love it.
have to like, get that foundation there. Yeah, I have to get that foundation there, man.
Yeah.
And it's been fine. I don't mind seeing people pass me up and do whatever because it's like I
Yeah.
know what I'm here to do. It's not a big deal. I have no ego about it, dude. I want everybody to do well, genuinely. From the bottom of my heart, I don't even feel like I have competition. Like
Yeah.
I will be the guy that, like you can stomp on me, say whatever, drag my into the mud. And I'm like, if it's making you money, dude, go for it, dude. I get it. So
Mhm.
I've just I've been working on my marriage, honestly, and like getting ready to be a father more than
Love
anything
it.
else. And then the business is just this thing I do on the side. Yeah.
Love it. I mean, you're also in a position where, you've been making money for a while now. So it's not like,
Hmm.
because a lot of people, and this is why I wanted to have you on, because, you started this personal brand thing a while back, right?
Mm-hmm.
it's not like this is something that you're new to, right? And I wanted to talk about, um, well, first, maybe we can, before we talk about that, maybe we can talk about how has been knowing that you're about to have a baby changed your perspective about maybe life and about how you move and priorities.
Yeah, dude. And I could talk to that. I also think your audience would benefit from hearing your perspective on a lot of this too, but I want to
Mhm.
talk about that. I think the main thing is just like time, how people view time is really important. If they
Mm.
view time, if you find yourself listening to this podcast in sort of a chaotic state, and maybe you're comparing to Serge, who is a tough guy to compare to because you're incredibly smart. um and you're like sitting there, and you feel this urge, this like, like how do I think just my message, I think, is just like critical thinking, time, patience,
Yeah.
and understanding that ego and envy are human emotions, and when you're in an emotional state you can't make good decisions.
Hmm.
So truthfully, man, I think for me it's just like it's been a journey of just 30 years doesn't even feel like that long anymore, because like when you get married, dude, you're thinking about like the deathbed. When you have a
Mm.
kid coming, you're thinking about like this person is going to be with me the rest of my life. And I've
Yeah.
never thought that way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now it's just like who I become matters so much more. And so if I'm going to aim at doing big numbers, it's going to be because of who it makes of me more than anything, because the greatest gift that I can give my children is who I am
Yeah.
and what I stand for, everything. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, man, it's so much more important than business. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna do big things in business, but because of who I am, not because of business. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that is the underlying root that drives results in all these areas of your life, is who you decide to become.
Hmm.
If you are an incredible, diligent, focused, others oriented, selfless leader type, your kids are going to do well. Your wife's going to stay in love with you. Your business is going to do well. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like, who are you versus what are you doing is my conversation right now. And I went through like a big identity crisis, honestly, when I first got married, because like that version of me and then being a married man didn't mix,
Mm.
dude. I just kind of put the brake on things and didn't try too hard for a sec, and
Yeah.
kind of sticking my head recently. So enjoying it.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Some,
What about you, dude? Like I feel like I don't hear from you much. I only follow you on Instagram. So I'm almost like
yeah.
selfishly I want to like know more about you, dude. Like
Yeah.
what's driving you right now, man? Like what's pushing you to do all this? And just be honest, like what's got you
Yeah.
saying, all right, I'm gonna build this big thing and build this
Yeah.
out. Like what are you doing this,
Uh,
man, in your opinion?
for me, we could have a chat about my life story because it's a long one, right? And I still haven't
Yeah.
necessarily told my life story too much because I feel like some people
You need
use sometimes their story to kind of like, I guess almost like be victims so that they can just
Mhm.
appeal to a broader audience, right? And I feel like I want to tell a big part of my story once I don't need, or once I feel like I don't need to leverage it, right? Or because I think that some people use the story before so that it kind of like picks up a specific brand and a specific audience.
Mhm.
But I feel like it's even a greater story if you win even without
Mhm.
necessarily leveraging that story and just making the story be like, hey, this is my story and this is what I've achieved. And
Yeah.
here's what I'm even about to go even harder. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I disagree. I think you need to tell your story as soon as possible, man.
As soon as
That's
possible.
your asset. As soon as possible, man. I'd love to be the guy that pulls it out of you on this podcast. Who knows? Like,
Ah,
it's because, like, dude, that's what sticks, man.
mm,
That's what sticks. And I don't even have a rags to riches story, dude.
yeah,
Like, I grew up in a great household. Like, my parents did well,
yeah.
and yet still here I am. Like, it doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And yeah, still here, people are like, oh, I so relate to your need to like prove it to your parents that
Yeah.
you can become such, you know what I mean, all this stuff. And it's like they all archetypes exist. You just have
Hmm.
to like put it out there which archetype you are, and then you'll attract more of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, dude, and that's my story.
Yeah.
Grew up well, 17 years old, hit with a house fire, saw for the first time we're not doing well, and it just something stuck. I was like, oh, this isn't going to be here for forever.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was soft, like 13 to 16, just being candid, very soft.
Yeah.
17 hits. Yeah. Go through that. See my parents struggling. Got to figure it out. You know what I mean? Read a bunch of marketing books, bunch of business books. My parents are smart. They figured it out. They didn't really ultimately need me, but I just felt that, like, sure
You
you
need to
felt it,
step
Serge.
up.
Like, you're a
Yeah.
man. You're not just gonna sit by. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah.
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 So,
But
that's my story.
my story is for me, I was born in Rwanda, right? So I was right now I live in Canada, right? Montreal, Canada. And I
Mm,
moved from Rwanda, Africa to Canada when I was 13, right?
mm,
And went through school, the regular stuff, right? Um Now I think that being born in a different environment and coming in another environment gives you such a the perspective you have on life is super different, and you take things, you take opportunities for, you value them a lot more than someone who was born into them, right? So I've
mm,
always had this drive of like, hey, I have this opportunity to move in a first world country, and I'd love to, because for me, I'm always someone who looks at people's achievements and be inspired. I love people who build great
mm,
shit, right? And I've always had this inspiration where I'm like, you know what? I don't look at people's doing great things as like, oh, it doesn't make me feel less. It actually inspires me to feel like, oh my God, I'm a human. I can create whatever I
mm,
want, right? So it's a source of
mm,
inspiration. I've always had this drive, right? And maybe one of the things I can talk about more so on the process of like money financially, I think the first trigger for me was when um my grandma died, right? My
mm,
grandma died, I think, in 2014, and in Rwanda I was raised by her, and I
mm,
didn't actually go see her for her funeral, and
mm,
I'd never went back to see her after I moved to Canada, right? So I spent
mm,
maybe like 3 years here, and then she passed. So the last time I saw
mm,
her was before I moved, and the fact that I
mm,
wasn't able to go see her before
mm,
really pissed me off, right?
mm,
And it
mm.
pissed me off because it's not that it's not like my family didn't have the money to be able to go there, but it's just that to take 4 kids, then family go back on a trip
Mm,
in Africa,
mm.
like it's a lot of money, right? So it was more of like, it meant like, why is money such a limitation for me to be able to go see the people I love, right? And in that moment,
Yeah.
I think I was probably like 16. I was like, yeah, money will never be a limit for me or
Good,
an
dude.
obstacle, right? So that
Yep.
was, one of those moments that just shaped the perspective, or that kind of like just lit a fire under me to be like, hey, like never let this people construct, which is fake, made up
Yeah.
bullshit money, limit you from
Hmm.
living a great life, you know?
Yeah. And being
And
able to be there for the love.
yeah. So that
Yep.
was that was one of
Got
those
that in common.
moments. Yeah. And
Yeah. We got it.
yeah, and then ever since I've just been, then I went to, I don't know if you know a little bit about my story, but like went to college, then didn't quit college. I just got a job when on break, but I just never went
Mm,
back because I saw these, 23-year-olds, driving Porsches, making millions every year in MLM, and also some door-to-door selling HVAC stuff. I was like, you know what? Why am I going to school? I don't even know why I'm in this program. I don't know what the
mm,
purpose. I'm just go to school because that's the path that was there. But then I
mm,
just ended up never going back, and I got jobs. You would use the money for that I would get from my paycheck to buy courses and
mm,
information. Yeah.
mm. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I'm telling you, man, like that will cement, and you're not asking for my advice. You're plenty smart. You don't need my advice, dude.
Yeah.
But that'll cement things for you, man. It will. It's an awesome story, dude. And people eat, breathe, and live stories. I think it's maybe another reason why the space comes and goes so quick is because people think that their specific story isn't worth listening to
Mm.
because they compare it to other people who have spent time refining how they tell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they think that that story is like amazing. How would I ever? Like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just have to. You have to tell it because people. What's it? Sam Evans said this. I love this. Like no such thing as B2C, no such thing as B2B, only such thing as P2P, person to person.
Mm.
And then Brunson's concept of the attractive character of like, you have a new opportunity that is unheard of before. You have a
Yeah.
cause and a reason why you're bringing it to people, and then you have a backstory, character flaws, all these things. So you can actually craft that. But people just they're not thinking too much about that. That I think is one of the reasons why the space is here one day, gone the next for a lot of business owners, because they're not doing that stuff. You know what I mean? They're like, I just want to put $1,000 a day in ads and get 5,000 back. And direct response. If you're going to do direct response, you have to include your story somewhere in there. You have to. Like 5 years from now, you will really be happy you did.
Quick question. What do you think? Because I have this thing, because, you know, a lot of the clients we work with, my team sometimes tells them to go direct response. I'm like, no, go value first, then, you know, then get people's information, then actually try to set them and close them. Mm-hmm. If you were to pick one strategy, okay, I'm gonna give you examples. Direct response, hey, I'll scale your business, or blah blah blah. You know, you see the trend happening where people are saying, hey, or you don't pay.
Ridiculous guarantees. I love your copy crazy. About like, give you my heart. I like
yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's that angle, and then there is the other angle, which is, hey, here is a case study, or here's a piece of content, or here's a system that we use to achieve this outcome. Opt in if you value it. If you were to pick one strategy to scale, which one would you pick? And you can't use both. You can only use one.
Well, if I can't use both, then, you know, I would say like I will say that if you're forcing me to pick one. So what are the options? Direct response and what?
And just value. So more of like drive with value. Don't try to convert on the ad. Only, I guess, just sell the click essentially.
I mean, yeah, dude, I think it's too binary for either of my answers to make sense. Like, I've been really stuck on this topic recently. I heard Jordan Peterson use this phrase of high resolution thinking and low resolution thinking. And I think like the question is like, it's forcing me into a binary, and neither of my answers are going to benefit anybody, but direct response, if you're making me choose.
Okay. Why?
High resolution, because high resolution me knows that if I were to like direct response it, then I can include my story, talk a bit about who I am during the video or something like that, and actually build like, oh, you know, because right now we're running like $2,000 a day in ads, and we'll get a message of like, I saw your thing, and I had to message you on Instagram. I really relate to what you said here. I feel the same way about me, and it's like, it's because I'm just putting little bits of story there, just where I can drip it in without making it about me too much, because that's where I'm kind of building a moat. Like, you can't compete with me because I'm Trey Cockrum. You know what I mean? And you can't compete with you because you're Serge. You can't be Serge. So that's the only true moat in this business. Even your team, as loyal as they say that they are, your only moat is who you are. You know what I mean? So it's like direct response, because I could include that somehow. If it's value forward, I could maybe include that somehow still, but I don't even think that direct response and value forward are two different concepts. I think that
I mean, the way you're saying it is, I mean, the way you're pushing it is, okay. So for me, the value part where you tell your story I would put in the bucket of more like value, where you're telling a story and it's more of like a longer sales process, and not a, here is your problem, here is the solution, buy it now. It's more of that's my lens of like direct response. I wasn't talking about.
And then value forward.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I define direct response as just like copy that gets somebody to take a specific action. You know what I mean? That's like David Ogilvy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's direct response to me. But then 100%. Yeah.
How have been your perspective around, I made a story yesterday. I was so that Prime by Logan Paul and KSI just hit like 1.2 billion in sales in a year, right? And for me, like when I see that, I'm like, how the fuck, right? And it just reinforces a belief around why it's important to build an audience and to build, to own the attention instead of just trying to rely so much, because I think there's this cancerous thing, which is ads. I think ads are great, but they're also one of the biggest risk for an organization to solely rely on ads. And I'll tell you my feedback, but like, I'd love to hear your experiences, because for me, I've seen a lot of businesses come and go, build some, millions and millions of dollars a month in revenue. But as soon as something breaks in that acquisition funnel, they go out of business, right? And I've seen people who, I mean, we're seeing Iman, what he's doing, fucking went crazy on YouTube, right? And now he's probably
Mhm.
going to build probably one, I mean, in our marketing agency consulting space, he's probably going to build one of the greatest. I mean, he's going to kill it, right? Because, and he's not really going hard on ads. I mean, he's not even advertising much, right?
Mhm.
What has been your perspective, and what have you, if you have, done in your business to try to kind of like move towards this route of like, hey, yes, I'm going to use ads, but I'm also going to be doubling down on blowing up my audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just calling it hybrid, dude. That's what I've been
Mm.
teaching for a minute. It's like I call it hybrid. That's how I get all my clients' results. You know, not to be too self-promoting, but
Yeah.
it's both, man. So because if you know how to run ads and you know how to do it profitably, that's great. But like you said, it's built on sticks. However, if you know how to do organic stuff and you know how to tell your story and build a relationship with an audience, that's great. But you know, my wife would be wondering, like, why are you spending so much time at the computer and we're not, you know, making higher level numbers? Because like
Yeah.
ads give you the roof of scalability, the ceiling of the ability to like grow. Whereas organic gives you that cement, like solid, sturdy floor of like you're never gonna go beneath this because you have this audience.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that's what I've been teaching for forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
started calling it hybrid recently. Now everybody's like, oh,
Love
hybrid.
it.
You know what I mean?
Love
But
it.
I had to give it a name. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And maybe would you want to go a little bit more deep into the actual strategy, and maybe a little bit on the tactical side of what you would
Yeah, dude.
consult the businesses
So
on doing?
yeah, dude. So I'll talk about like, I don't know, I can just give like a example. Like one of the guys that I worked with, we got him to
Yeah.
100 grand a month, and it's just an ad to his Instagram page,
Mm-hmm.
and in the ad you've got nothing for sale. The page is set up a certain way, a certain type of content, and then you just have a setter, and then you go from there. Because you what you want to do if you're going to do ads, you don't want to build a business off of like a 7 day sales or even like a 48-hour sales cycle of just like 1 into 10.
Mm.
That is really sexy. But the problem, if you got to build a brand, and email lists were what people used to use for that like platform builder,
Yeah.
but it's nowhere near as powerful as a social profile now. So it's
Mm.
just like add to a social profile. You know what I mean? So I run ads to my YouTube channel. I also run ads to my Instagram, and
Okay.
those do incredibly well. And then we also, the problem is that for me, it's kind of capped at like 100 to 200,000 a month, maybe like best month like 250.
Yeah.
Um, we're now doing ads right to a video presentation because it kind of caps with like having a setter in your DM. So if you have a
Yeah.
setter in your DM, you really can't have more than one. Whereas with a video sales letter,
You
I'm
can.
I'm currently working on setting up a team of like 4 outbound callers and then
Sick.
some closers, and we're doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people push this Instagram thing. I haven't yet done it. I haven't done
Hmm.
like pushing my IG. I'm advertising on IG, but I haven't really pushed the. But the beautiful
Yeah.
thing is, for us, we're sending to an opt-in, to a training. But we're
Hmm.
still growing the follower base, right? And we're
Hmm.
just, to be honest, we're treating the new followers as if they are coming from ads. We're just calling
Hmm.
it as, so I think we're still growing pretty relatively well, the follower
Good,
count,
dude.
so we have a good DM thing. But yeah,
Good.
for me, the reason why I haven't gone to the ads to put purely pushing my IG is because of what you just said, which is a caps, because the throughput is only to one section and only one person is set. They have to sleep, they have to do this. So for us, we're
Hmm.
sending people to the to a training, to an asset, and then we are
Yep.
just reaching out to every opt-in as soon as they opt in.
Exactly what I'm doing, dude.
Yeah.
Same stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, man, it's funny we came to the same realization. Great minds think alike,
Yeah.
kind of thing, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it caps the one guy, and you
Yeah.
know, and unless you want to just like burn him out, you know, you just doesn't it doesn't work, man. So yeah, but then again, like even these people who are teaching ads to their socials, man, they don't. I got to 1 million a year with just a YouTube channel. And the reason why people bought my stuff over and over again was I like you, Trey. I relate to you, Trey. I want to be like you, Trey. I don't want to buy from these people because I like you, Trey. And what people that are teaching ads don't know how to teach alongside is how to do that. There's a science behind people liking you, Serge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's why I'm like your story, dude. Because like
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna run a bunch of ads, man, yeah, value forward, but your story, dude,
Yeah.
your grandma. I mean, that's powerful stuff, man.
Yeah.
And that's like a Seth Godin thing. all marketers are storytellers, I think is his book.
Yeah.
Dude, just incredible book. But yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's, I think, if you've read, I think you may probably read the book. I don't know if it's Brunson, but like, the hero's journey thing where every movie follows
Mm-hmm.
the same script. And yeah. No, man, I mean, listen, talking about YouTube, man, if I was to pick one platform, like shut down everything, I'll
YouTube.
go with YouTube. Fuck Facebook
All
ad.
day.
I could care less. I'm like, bro, what? YouTube has single-handedly changed the way I view business, especially info consulting. And
Yeah.
I see these guys going crazy on ads, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, but oh my god, is it a lot more? Because if you learn about compounding, right, and this is where I kind of like lately I've
Yeah.
been trying not to scale ads so much because I actually don't want to win the easy way,
Mm-hmm.
because I know the easy
Mm-hmm.
way comes fast, also leaves as fast, even faster, right? I'm personally trying to build a team to scale the organic side and expend more on that short term, because ads you can always, it's inputs outputs, it's just real quick, right?
100%. Yep.
And YouTube has been, for me, every client who comes in, I don't care what you're selling, start a YouTube channel, like YouTube
Mm-hmm.
all the way, right?
Totally.
And I'm not just right now, we're starting to look at shorts. Shorts on YouTube are really killing it. Trying to pump that like crazy.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
the reach is just insane. And but like for me, YouTube is the one platform that I would recommend if you're gonna build a business and make millions a year, start working
YouTube.
on your YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, dude.
ASAP.
I'm almost I get I get envious of the people who were smarter than me and just feel like while you're out here testing, I'm just gonna keep putting content up, content, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. It really is it's the sturdy flow that I was talking about. You know what I mean? For even for my business, like
Yeah.
ads, like yeah, it will come and it will go. Um, so yeah, dude, I think the that is the trick, man. Is audience. You know what I mean? That's the golden word is audience.
Yeah.
And even like you get a guy like Sam Evans, like he blew up with this webinar funnel,
Hmm.
2K, $2,000 offer for consulting accelerator at the end.
Yeah.
Like he was heavy on his story the first like 20, 30 minutes. Like his
Yeah.
story, figuring out this stuff, learning it, the trials he went through, da, da, da. And it's like Google, who is Sam? His YouTube channel. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's like that, yeah, dude, that I love seeing people capitalize on that because it's like that's how you cement something. Yeah, nothing. That's I think the opposite of the bags of sticks that are being taught. And then I talked about buddies online in this space, and they're like, I don't know, man. Like I don't really want to share. And I'm like, it's because you're comparing. It's because you think your story's not good enough every time.
Yeah.
And even if you're B2B, even if you're an agency owner, dude, like even if you don't sell info,
Yeah.
like people do business with people. People want to know who you are. Who
Yeah.
you are is as important as what you're selling. And we're in an industry right now that is so focused on what you're selling and the guarantee and the offer structure and da 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 da.
Hmm.
And it's just like yeah, it's dangerous for
Yeah.
sure. It's dangerous. But
Cool. Maybe let's go more into the business structure and offers and things like that. For you, like, what's
yeah.
your goal with your business? And are you, because right now I think you have one offer, right?
Well, we're
How,
kind of tossing around some other ideas, but yeah, mostly just one offer. Most of our
okay,
revenue is
cool,
just the one.
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, talk about what you're thinking of
Yeah, dude.
strategically in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in the future, I really have a heart for beginners, like total newbies who have never sold anything. The problem is, I just don't think a lot of those people have learned how to help themselves yet. So when you sell
Hmm.
them something as expensive as this, it's like they don't know how to, like feel the emotions of that money leaving their account and still stay objective.
Yeah.
A lot of them, unfortunately, not every single one, but a lot of them are that way. So I'd like to have a beginner thing. I'm thinking like a weekly subscription or something like that, and we just build a recurring and I just pour out and give from my heart, like how basically how to become a highly paid consultant.
Yeah.
Particularly like a marketing consultant, because I just think that that's like where I got my start. Like if you scroll back on my YouTube, I've got this video of like signing my first $3,000 consulting thing, and it was
Yeah.
like 2018, and you know what I mean? It's like that's where I got my start. So I just think that that'd be really cool. And then the other thing is, I just want to focus more on our back end, like our highest tier mastermind offer.
Yeah.
Um, you know, when somebody pays me that much money and they're that committed to learning, like I haven't had a single person get into that seriously committed that I don't get to a 6-figure month level. But we've
Nice.
just really been focusing on, yeah, our main offer, call it the consulting blueprint. It's just like how to take your existing business that's maybe stuck beneath 10 or 20,000 a month and adopt what I talk about, the hybrid model, you know,
Yeah.
adds to your stuff, as well as how to deliver to many people at a time. That's the main thing. That's
Yeah.
what I've been doing. And the goal with ads is to get that to, I don't know, I'd like to do like a $500,000 a month.
Yeah.
Just kind of to show that I can do it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
For the sake of the brand. Everything, the story, the brand is what really the asset is. So
Yeah.
to be able to document that on YouTube and share that and everything.
Have
So
you done
yeah.
Webbies, by the way? I haven't
Done
seen
done what?
like a webinar.
Nothing long form, man.
Why not?
No. I don't know. How's it working for you? I know you're doing it. Like, is it
Yeah. I
working
mean, to
well?
try, yeah, highly suggest.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
December, do one type of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Like
a long form sit down.
like
But I
90
see
minutes,
you got like a cool doc.
like bro, like
Yeah.
walk them through everything at the end. Sell, hey, we'll
Hmm.
help you implement for those who wanna give out. I
Hmm.
can show you how I structure mine, but because here's the
Yeah, I'd love
thing.
to see that.
So ads, or at least here's my thought process with the sales process, with just having like, so there is the thing that's gonna keep the thing dripping, appointments coming in, lead flow, appointments, deal flow, cool. But if you want to 10x that, you're gonna need to spend 10 times that, right?
Hmm.
But if you were
Hmm.
to just push one thing, keep the main thing going, just keep spending your $1,000, $2,000 a day on ads, right? But then
Hmm.
set a date where you're going to give the most amount of value, promote that thing for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, get 500 people on a call, give them an offer they can't say no to.
Hmm.
I think you can do $500,000 in 2 weeks if you wanted to, if you did it. Because I'm sure, how much reach are you getting do you track the reach on your ads, like on a monthly basis? How many people do you reach on average?
Reach like impressions or like leads or
Let
reach like the,
talk about maybe leads. What's the lead flow on your current spend and your organic, if you were to bundle that?
yeah. So it's like a $25 cost per lead. I'd say average, maybe less than that depending on the day, but yeah, about
Yeah.
$25 per lead. And then we
Okay.
have right now, I think it's like 9 or 10% of the people that look at the video. It's a fairly new video, so I
Okay.
can't say exactly, but yeah, we have 10% booking rate right off the video.
Okay.
But the thing that really works well is we have a team of callers that are just like super value forward. Just like,
Sick.
hey, where you at? Where you at? Let me send this to
Cool.
you. Build a relationship, offer a call later if it makes sense for them, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And do you, I imagine you also have a list, an email list.
yeah, email list.
How big is it?
I haven't checked in a minute. It's probably well over 15,000, 20,000, somewhere in that
Okay.
range.
Cool.
Yeah,
And your IG?
not huge.
Yeah, it's not, but it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. For me, if I
Yeah.
was you, I would do a Webby. And you could do your half a
Okay.
mil right there and then. Because one of the things I think that really changed the game for me, at least starting last year in 2022, was every quarter I'd do a Webby and I would have a reason for that Webby, right? I would look at what are the trends going on in the marketplace. Because I think that it's good to create your own trend, but you also need to move with the market and look at where the interest is going and leverage
Totally.
that.
We call it out.
Yeah. And then for us, that's kind of like how we've been able to do it. Every time we do one, like we start doing like 6 figures a week, like for a few weeks. And like it's super. I like Webbies, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got a link on that, dude, because I like really informed buyers. I like when people like
Oh,
really feel like they know what they're getting. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like they just have some questions. It's like on the sales call, you just got to relate it to them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
like this seems like a great system. Will it work for me? all you're doing
Yeah.
on a meeting is just like, here's why it will work for you, or here's honestly why it wouldn't, and turning away the wrong people.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah,
We should
for
link up
sure,
on
man.
that for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to help you out on that. And
Yeah,
yeah, man, to be honest, for me, I sometimes think my closers don't even need to sell anymore. Cause for me, I pump
yeah,
out like my webbies are 4 hours, right? I just did a
ridiculous,
challenge
dude.
the other day. Sometimes it's longer than it needs to be because I just like to talk, right? But like after someone
Huh.
goes through that, they're like, "Hey, here is 15 grand. Let's just work, whatever." Right?
Let's do it. That's awesome,
Yeah,
dude. I love that. Yeah.
and it's the
Huh.
best.
That's sick.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, I need to do that, man. Because I'm already thinking of like what I'd teach on and present on, and
yeah.
like I'd be, yeah, I mean, do that. We literally got this guy to like from 20 grand a month to 300 grand a month,
Wow,
and I put up the interview. People of like, yeah, I can send you the interview. His name's Gherkin. He's an e-commerce coach, e-com guy,
nice.
and he's in Turkey. So if he was in the United States, he'd be doing like 700 grand a month because it's a $2,000 offer he's selling.
Fuck.
It's
Oh
in
my
30, 300 grand
God.
a month. Yeah, dude.
That's
And
insane.
everybody was like, hey, man, can you break this down? Can you break this down? Can you break this down? And I feel like if I were you, I'd be like, of course, I'm gonna film a 2 hour long thing on how
Yeah.
I did that. I've always just been so minimum viable with my content. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'll just like say like what, and I need to go more in
Yeah.
depth, man. Yeah, people
Yeah.
are very
No, go.
curious, dude.
Yeah. They love it.
Yeah.
And when you give a lot of the value away, it's like all they really need help with is just more of like it's the okay, one if I put this in place and this breaks. Because this is what a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, because for me, I've tried to, if you look at our business, it's kind of like segmented into two areas. It's consulting, but it's also services, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who are pushing consulting, coaching, they have a harder time giving a lot of information away because it's hard to kind of like, okay, but I don't want to give away everything because you don't know where the gap is between where do you stop and where do you keep going, right? But I actually think that instead of selling like coaching programs or consulting programs, you should just sell, we're just going to sell you troubleshooting. If anything breaks,
Mm-hmm.
we're here for you. And that's why you pay us. Info, you can get it for free anywhere, anyway, right?
Totally. That's actually a great way of putting it. And honestly, dude, it's not even because I don't want to give away the farm. Like my heart is like, dude, I'll share my stuff with anybody anytime. No
Yeah.
secrets. It's just I couldn't be bothered. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
like to sit down and talk for
It takes a
two
lot.
hours.
It takes a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like not even that I don't want to. Like I'm like, oh, why would people buy my like I don't I'm well beyond that. It's just like, yeah, dude, like I just need to yeah, I need to sit down and do that. Because I
Yeah.
could film like I could film too easy. I could film like a basically the barrier of entry is if you've made a sale at all. If you've made one sale for even a low ticket info product, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Or just one sale of something like, dude, here's how I'm
Yeah.
gonna get you to 20, 30 grand in like 3 months. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's like there's that webinar, and then for the hot back end thing, another
Mm-hmm.
long one. I in like it's been an hour and a
Yeah.
half, dude. Like these mastermind clients of ours and what they want to achieve and everything. Yeah, dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
dude.
it's hard, like you need to create it and you need to, but the beautiful thing is it becomes an asset too. Well, eventually
Totally.
you just put it on YouTube, you drive traffic to it, and you just sit back and relax, right? But I
Yeah.
understand why you don't bother because you figure out how to make multiple six figures a month with ads. You just chill, sit down. So I understand, which is why I was telling in the beginning, it's like I don't want to get too complacent with ads because I know that once you've dialed in ads, you could literally
Mm-hmm.
just fuck off and make
Mm-hmm.
money as long as you
Mm-hmm.
build the system. But for me, I like to almost like put in more work than I need to
Mm-hmm.
because that's where it's like, you never get complacent because you're already playing the hard game on hard mode, um but no, love it,
That's really
love it.
cool. I'd love to know what the numbers behind your ads to the longer form thing have been, like pure cold, because I know that if I did a long form for my existing audience,
Yeah,
we're just yeah, we're crushed. If I just said like, hey everybody,
yeah,
it's 2 hours long. I saw your ad, dude. It was genius. I loved it. Like if I showed you how I went from here to here
yeah,
over the course of 2.5 hours, would you watch it? I was like, I like that, dude. It's
yeah,
like that's
yeah,
sick.
yeah. Just to give you maybe some numbers, I think last month we spent maybe 13 grand on ads, and I think we did like half a mil.
That's awesome.
in revenue,
It's
right?
just from the ads or everything combined?
Everything combined, right? So that's where,
Okay.
so that's where it's like, if you go really hard on long, because last month I did a challenge, right? I did the 5 days challenge, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And we just spent a little bit of money beforehand. The month before, maybe we spent like 8 grand on ads.
Uh-huh.
But the thing I'm telling you is, because if I give so much value in a condensed like time frame, like it's just like, hey, let me solve all your problems, and I drive
Mm-hmm.
traffic to it from YouTube, from the ads. We're not really
Mm-hmm.
blowing up ads yet, but I push the education piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once people are
Mm-hmm.
educated, buying becomes super. And then also the ticket price at which I sell it at is a lot higher than if I was just trying to sell someone a cold. So
Mm-hmm.
so the amount of clients we sold, I mean, I don't know, maybe like 20, 25 people, clients, 20,
Mm-hmm.
23 clients last month. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because of that hard long form education piece that makes
Mm-hmm.
everything else more efficient. So I work
Hmm.
harder than the ads, and then just the ads, a little bit of ads, a little bit of, driving our audience. It just
Yeah.
hits, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Um,
It's cool, man. The guys who really last, man, they do what you're doing. They do a healthy mix. Like I really think it's like your business is kind of like, I mean, it's like a human body. Like if you just think that all of your health is going to come from just hitting the gym, hitting the gym, hitting the gym, hitting the gym, you're not thinking about rest and water and it like all
yeah,
that. Like that would be like ads. You know what I mean? Gym, you're right. Or like the inverse, thinking like, that the way to get healthy is purely through supplementation and diet and not
yeah,
never moving. You're like you heard some crazy guru be like, yeah, you don't have to exercise ever. You just have
yeah,
to eat this leaf green twice a day. I mean, that would be like
yeah,
just organic. It's like, the businesses that last, man, they find creative ways. It's just ingenuity, dude. Like
yeah.
that's the underlying principle, just ingenuity. Like you've got this thing you've got for sale. Use
Hmm.
critical thinking, and engineer your own solutions to your own problems.
Yeah,
And I think that that's where I think that the space can get a little wacky is like this one pill-sized solution will solve all
yeah.
your
Oh my
problems. It's like,
God.
yeah, it
I
doesn't work
hate
like that.
I
Yeah.
hate that shit. Because, and also that's why
No, dude.
most people never see success in this industry, is because they're sold, oh, hey, just do ads, or hey, just sell this offer, or hey, just do IG shout outs. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is IG shout outs gonna fucking do?
Yeah.
Fucking business, bro.
And
Like
that
that's
what's tough about it is sometimes it does work really well for the right person because it was the last puzzle piece that they needed.
yeah,
Once they had that puzzle piece, then it clicked, and they're like, shout outs are the thing. Or like YouTube ads. I told you, dude, a long form, like
yeah,
if I do a long form now, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, finally. It was like, well, I mean, I spent 5 years building my brand, and like, there's a lot
exactly.
more to
Yeah,
it. So
yeah,
I think that's what I was talking about: high resolution, low resolution thinking. High
yeah.
resolution thinkers, they see things in systems. They can see all the connecting parts and how the system
Hmm.
relates to the whole.
Yeah,
Whereas low resolution thinkers, they don't see how the parts connect and how the whole is made. And
yeah,
because of that, they end up using pill-sized solutions to solve body-sized problems. And that's my message, dude. It's like if
yeah,
you want to do anything in this industry or otherwise, just use some critical thinking. Take your time, think about your own solutions, test those solutions in the real world, and just
yeah.
use the scientific method to come up
True.
with solutions to your problems.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Just don't so quickly listen to the voices that are telling you that it's not your fault that you didn't succeed. It's the guru. And then they ego shift. They protect your ego by telling you it's not your fault. And
yeah,
then they tell you that they're going to work better. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just like, but you have to mature into that. Like I used to be
yeah,
susceptible to that. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Who are some of the people that you kind of like get a lot of your information from? So let's say, when it comes to business, learning, just kind of like, where do you get a lot of your principles? Because I have sources of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know, like, where do you get a lot of your insights, a lot of your information from?
Yeah, dude. Um, I mean, honestly, man, like like to be honest, like it's just my own thinking. Like
Mm,
I'm just being honest with you. Like, and that's just the power of doing it. It's just taking the time to actually think about what is you're being taken in. So I think you can have the right inputs, but the wrong thinking, and you still end up with the wrong results. So if you're listening to the right people, but you don't have the right thinking, it doesn't even matter that you're listening to the right people.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like that's something worth noting. But yeah, dude, I mean, for me, it's just like, I mean, I read books. I'm always going through a couple different books at a time. Right now, I'm going through John Wooden's Wooden on Leadership. Really good for like building a company and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I've read every book you can name basically on marketing, sales, whatever. To be honest, man, I'm one of those guys that like I've always had this since the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey where I feel like I know a lot more than the results that I'm currently getting. And it's just because my standards are always catching up to like what I know that I'm capable of. That's like the journey. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I listen to any book that somebody I trust recommends me, and any resource that somebody that I trust recommends me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they have to earn my trust. You know what I mean? And then if I trust them, I'm like, sweet, like this is like if my dad recommends me a book, done deal, listening to it.
Yeah.
I think if you were to recommend me a book or something like, dude, I'd 100% listen to it because your results speak for themselves. That's
Yeah.
another thing is any resources that people who are kind of doing it recommend,
Yeah.
but no specific voices,
Yeah.
because it's like that can be when you're just getting started, you 100% need to do that. But as you grow, you need to have your own sort of field theory that you filter information you're getting
Yeah.
through. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think I'm at a stage now where I've developed that. So I'm not really listening to anybody very actively, honestly. I'm
I love
actually,
that.
if for business, I'm listening to like marriage stuff. I'm listening to like parenthood stuff. I'm listening to
Same.
like, because I'm at that stage that I was at with my business with that stuff, where I am susceptible to, hey, are you afraid of this happening? This method will solve it all. You know what I mean? And like my wife
Yeah.
and I are like listening to this podcast on like a certain style of parenting and stuff. And that's
Nice.
just, yeah, man. So I'm at a point now, dude, where I'm not claiming that I know it all. I'm a continual student for sure, but no voices particularly. OG
Yeah.
stuff, man. Like, the books that have been around for forever, the influencers that were here, 10 years ago. Like, and you'll start to see that there's nothing new under the sun, which is a
Yeah.
scriptural concept. Like, as much as we feel like things are changing, nothing's actually changing. And you
Yeah.
just have to like know what the foundational things are, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Principles
Yeah.
don't change, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love that. That's interesting. That's interesting. For me,
Yeah,
the
dude.
reason why I asked that is because for me, I try not to, it's almost like to the same degree that you're on. For me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't learn a lot from marketers or from people in our industry. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
time I'll still seek for information, but the information I seek from are people who are maybe making investments in companies, maybe
Mm-hmm.
private equity, people
Mm-hmm.
who've built really massive companies. I was listening to this guy who's leading like a $6 billion firm, and he was essentially talking
Mm-hmm.
about how, and he shared this one thing that was super insightful, especially for people who are building teams. It's like there's two things that will happen there. If someone is not underperforming in a company, is it a issue of them not knowing how to get the outcome accomplished, right? So is it a performance
Mm-hmm.
problem or is it a behavior thing? Performance we will
Mm-hmm.
tolerate. You not changing your behavior
Mm-hmm.
will not be fucking tolerated. Meaning
Yeah.
he give you these KPIs, you don't hit them. Okay. Is it because you don't know what you need to be doing? Cool. Let's train you. Is it because we
Mm-hmm.
gave you what you need to do and you're still not showing up on time, not doing the dials, not doing the content, not posting the thing? That's a behavior because you choose not to do it. Right. So, like for me,
Yep.
when I heard that framework, I was like, okay, perfect. Now I know how to deal with people. Because before, it's like us as leaders, we're emotional creatures. Someone doesn't do something, you get super anxious and you get super frustrated. But it's like, no, why not get a framework around how to deal with it instead of always having so much emotions to everything that goes wrong in business,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Yes.
I do source a lot of
That's good.
information there, just leadership stuff
So
too.
it's a lot of like outside of the industry people
Yeah,
then for you.
yeah,
Not really
for
the
sure.
book. That's
No,
what
no,
that yeah, that's where you need to learn from. I would add to my list that
yeah,
because yeah, it's like
yeah.
the real people, real G's. You know what I mean? They're really
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah, man.
Building companies, even the reason why I wanted to ask you about your offers is because, there's this trend in the market where it's like, hey, one offer, one this, and just scale it. I'm like, yeah, cool. But then at some point, the goal is not to get rich anymore. The goal is to build wealth and to build an enterprise. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
like there's no great company that is built off of one thing, one acquisition
Mm-hmm.
channel, one offer. Eventually, you need to diversify and
Mm-hmm.
have everything be, get subscription, get MRR, even if it's a coaching business. Like one of the things we're doing, one thing I realized is like, man, like we're making all this money, but every month we got to go run after new money. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, how have I figured out how to make this much money, but I haven't yet to figure out how to make this much money coming in every month, the first of the fucking month. And I realized,
Right.
well, it's because the sources of information are coming from people. In my opinion, you're dumb if you're just always having to go run after new customers, because there's no let's say if we look at, we're an investor and we're trying to acquire a business.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you invest in a company that doesn't have future cash flow? You would never, even if it's like, hey, I just made $10 million this month. Okay, well, what about next
Mm-hmm.
month? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to spend this much and hope to get. No, that's the future is not guaranteed. Like there's no security in that business, right? But like you
Mm-hmm.
would never hear that from some guy trying to teach you coaching or trying to coach you on how to scale this one thing. Right now, this is advice not solely for beginners. If you're starting out and you haven't made money, cool. Start with one thing, dial that in, and then eventually build sustainability in the organization. So for us, I'm
Yeah.
building subscriptions. I like we're doing the $49 a week thing. I think I highly suggest you do that too, because
Nice.
it's like it's almost like maybe the Webby you do or the challenge you do, you put that in there, $49. You
Mm-hmm.
add the mindset training, you add the mental models, you add the thing that a beginner would need, and you just get everybody in there. Those who buy go through the education. Also, this is another thing. I don't think free content all the time is also helpful for the audience, man. It is not.
Yeah,
So
it's not.
I was like, because I did the challenge, I'm like, I can put this 13 hours for free on YouTube, but I'm like, no, they're gonna think it's fucking entertainment when it's made
Mm.
me millions of fucking dollars. So I'm like, no, guys, free information is enough. I actually have started having this framework, which is, I think the issue with so much free content, free valuable content being online, has become so much that it's actually negative for the people, because
Oh, 100%.
now everything is, everything, but you're not doing shit,
Yep.
right? So I
Yep.
think it's doing a service to people by getting them away from the notes. Hey, come learn here. Here's the implementation process. Don't
Yep.
worry about the new
Totally.
YouTube video. Don't worry about the new shiny thing. Just take care of what's here,
Yep.
right? And
100.
I think a low ticket thing, subscription, allows them to just commit on the one protocol,
Yeah. That's good.
right?
No, I've never done a low tip. I really, yeah, I really want to do it. I think I'll
Yeah.
probably do it because of this podcast. Credit to you, man. I need to do it. I'll do the long form and I'll do the MRR,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you how it goes. Because yeah, especially moving in 2024, man. Like, and more importantly, especially having a kid, dude. So when you have it, like, I have to go on this rant over and over again, dude. But like,
Let's
dude,
go.
it
Let's
just
go.
changes.
Let's go. Let's go.
It
Cause,
changes.
cause, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not. It's not like I'm some old like, oh, when I was a young buck, I was more willing to like. I'm in the fight. You know what I
You're
mean? Like, I'm
23,
ready.
bro. Like I'm
I'm
25, by
23,
the way.
dude.
Like
Okay,
I have
so
2 years on
so like
you.
we've got, yeah, so we've got plenty of energy, dude.
Mhm.
It's not, but it's not about that. It's like for me, man, I think life is just a game of leverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's being able to get a lot out with a little in, and a little might not be time. It's more just energy. And so like with my honestly, part of why this year has kind of been a little cruddy for the business for me. It's just like, I mean, by design, kind of like when I got married, I was like, this is gonna be my priority. I gotta figure this. I gotta be
Yeah.
this because dude, I've seen guys, man. I've seen really tragic stories of like
Mm,
an unkept personal life. The business is great. It's
yeah.
their marriage that's the problem. And so they don't last. And I'm like, that sounds way worse than sacrificing 2023 for a second. Like actually figure
Yeah.
like who is this? Like, how are we gonna so anyway, but I've got this kid coming now, and I don't want to do anything that doesn't compound. I don't want to do anything that doesn't benefit his life when I'm 30. Like And I'm like, so you just run everything through this filter of like, what
Yes.
benefits him and what benefits her, my wife, the most.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, this is me being very vulnerable. Like, I honestly think at some points this year, my wife would have been happier had I just been working a job because of the
Wow.
stress that I incurred because of certain things. The
Mm.
money stops mattering to the right woman, and it's who you are and how you're showing up in the little moments.
Mm.
And if you can't do that, they don't care how much money you make because you're not able to, you're
Doesn't
not
matter.
showing up for the that they need as a woman. You know, the feminine
Yeah.
energy needs a certain thing from the masculine energy. And if the masculine energy is burning all of that, fighting fires all the time, it's just like,
Yeah. What's it
so
worth? Yeah.
or you broaden your shoulders. And I'm young and my shoulders are not broad enough yet. Very
Yeah.
self-aware about that. So it's like they will broaden. I will be able to handle it all right now, but right now is not the time for me to, it's a time for me to slowly broaden the shoulders and introduce things that are sustainable and compound.
Yeah.
And 15 years of that, I'm gonna be in a fine spot, dude. Like if I'm not putting 10 million a year in the bank at 35, I'd be surprised by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just take my time. Like just
Yeah.
chill, put up content, build the brand.
Oh, yeah.
And even 500 grand a month is honestly like kind of chill for me. Like, cause it's like great product, great, like it's
It's
not
more
hard.
than you it's
Yeah.
more than anybody fucking needs anyway, right? I think it's more
Yeah.
so like this ego thing, right? And this is why, you asked me like, hey, did this, this getting this place, why did you get it? It's because so I wanted to be in a position where I'm working because I enjoy it, not because I'm running after a specific target. I want more money for myself. No, I could care less. I just want to play the game. And I want, just
Mm-hmm.
like a basketball player, want to be better at shooting three pointers. I also want to, I want to learn. Okay, I've learned how to cash collect. Let me just learn how to build MRR. Let me learn how to build
Mm-hmm.
sustainability. Let me learn how to build a team. Let me learn
Mm-hmm.
finance. Let me learn how to essentially acquire businesses, right? But when you're doing it for ego, or you're trying to just compete with a lot of people, it throws you off because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And you're in scarcity mode, you're hunting, and you're like, nah, 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 nah. The wealthiest
Mm-hmm.
people are not running. They're just a little sprint here and there, just chill, read a book. They're like, oh,
Yep.
interesting. Let's go do another
Yeah.
sprint. And then they collect $1 billion. And then they're back to like, hey, let's take a year off. Let's learn. Let's master this game. Let's look at AI. Let's look at these trends. And then let's go
Mm-hmm.
back again. Because also, I think that the fact of you, like, there might be a blessing in you slowing down, because then you can actually have time to think,
Oh, dude,
right?
you have no idea. It's been the best. I'm like all of a sudden, like I can just lift a finger and like mountains move because I've
Boom.
actually taken the time to think about my leverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to replacing a lack of leverage with grit,
Actions.
which
Yeah. We
is
just,
what a lot of people do. Yeah. So like I think why the wealthy get wealthy is because they start with their boundaries. They don't end with
mm,
their boundaries. They start with their boundaries. They start with, I'm only willing to give this. Like some of the best advice that I've given to beginners that
yeah.
changes things for them. Like stop working at 6 p.m. no matter what. No
Wow.
exceptions. You have to stop working at 6. And they're like, what? That makes no sense. I'm like, dude, innovation through constraint. If you give yourself permission to work all the time, you're giving yourself permission to do things that don't matter. And not all work is actually positive.
Yeah.
There's such thing as doing things that don't help
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah.
make things worse. You know what I mean? Like, so I think I'm so inspired by like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all these guys, they all have some version of this saying of like, all I got to do is just wake up and make like one good decision a day and
Yeah.
just like, and then, you know what I mean? And it's just such a powerful means of thinking that I heard it, who I forget who said this, but you move from getting paid from what you do to eventually you get paid for who you are, and then eventually you get paid for the quality of your decisions. And so, how hard you work eventually transfers into the quality of your decisions
Yeah.
as you elevate as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so for beginners, man, they're sort of there, like picking the vehicle, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But as
Yeah.
you read a little bit, it's just how clear are you in your thinking? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Are you able to take the time and process? And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think my wife gave me that gift, honestly, man. I was operating on like adrenaline for the longest time. And now I'm like operating on actual peace and sound of mind of like, just like,
Love it.
what do I
Love it.
want? You know what I
Love
mean?
it.
Let's just
Love it.
build it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
It's fun
I
stuff.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't know how much time we got, but no, I think this was good, man. And yeah, I think I mean, we're so young that like that's what I was saying. Like this industry is like if not only just us, like the industry, in my opinion, is super young. Like we don't know how the space is going to evolve over time and which models the best business models, it may not necessarily be the what we're doing right now. It may be something the way of delivery, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this prediction where it's like eventually the insight is going to be the thing. I mean, kind of like this trend where it's like it's free, the information. I think
Mm-hmm.
eventually coaching businesses will have to not sell info anymore, right? Or like this info trend. Because if you look at even I was looking at yesterday, I was talking to a client, and maybe we can end on this. So he has a coaching business in real estate, right? He helps people
Mm-hmm.
invest in Airbnb and start Airbnb investing. And I was like, well, your lifetime value is only 7,000 because you don't have anything else to sell to these people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like helped him because we have like the main program, but we also have something called the hundreds where we kind of like partner with people who are doing 6 figures a month or more. And what I told him was like, hey, the only two ways we can 10x your business is three ways. We go after a bigger market, we um we increase LTV. And the only way we can increase
Mm-hmm.
LTV is not by selling more coaching to these people because you've just sold them the thing that's supposed to get them the outcome. So you cannot go back to them and be like, okay, here's how you raise finance, or here's how you raise money, or here's how you property take care of property management. Because people are just going to be like, why are you trying to sell me something before I even achieve the outcome? So I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, and here is my thesis around this industry. I think coaching businesses will be the front end of brick and mortar businesses. As an example, this guy helps
Mm-hmm.
people start investing in real estate, short-term rentals. He should go acquire a real estate agency, kind of like a realtor, where he helps people find homes. He should start fund or a brokerage firm where these people go to get their mortgage or kind of like get loans, right? Or start a fund and have these students invest with him in that fund. So almost like seeing the coaching as because right now, if you really look at it, if you were, I don't know what company would it be. So let's say you own Salesforce, but for coaches,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't necessarily try to make money on the coaching and the consulting you do. You would almost give it away for free if you wanted to, because the enterprise value on the SaaS is going to beat the enterprise value on your consulting, right? So I have the
Mm-hmm.
way that I'm seeing a lot of these coaching businesses is like, we cannot keep on selling these people information and insights. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to eventually get out of this low barrier industry, which is info consulting coaching, and get into something that is a higher barrier of entry. And then you kind of like own those, but you acquire acquisition is the insight, the consulting, the coaching, the opportunity. But on the back end, you own a bunch of other brick and mortar businesses. What do you think about that?
I think it's already being done, dude. I think you look at like well, brick and mortar depends on how you define brick and mortar.
Yeah.
You look at like ClickFunnels, you know what I mean? Brunson did that with
Yeah.
ClickFunnels. Uh, Sam Evans with School, Iman with I forget the name of
Educate
the software.
thing. Yeah.
Well, it's the software thing that he's doing. Agency something. I forget. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I mean, I dude, and I think, yeah, I almost think that, it comes back to what I've been saying. Like people buy the person, man, even in B2B spaces. So it's like my thesis, dude, like and I agree with what you're saying. I think what I think. I
Mm-hmm.
don't disagree with what you think. I just think this is what I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
could be right.
Yeah.
No bones about it. You very well could be because it's hard to know what the future looks like. But for me, dude, I just think it's like I want to build wealth, and I think wealth is like through stable assets and brand. So like I want to buy real estate, and I want to have a big name. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And like if I have those things, I'm fine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if people know who Trey Cockrum is, I'll always be making money.
You're
You
good.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, and then if I you know, own some properties, the cash flow maybe is save the,
You're
you
good.
know, get the tax advantage. That especially, that's a big one. I got hit with a 6-figure tax bill this year, dude. Like taxes are
Mm,
the biggest thing. So yeah, man. Like imagine having a kid coming, it's 6-figure tax bill, dude.
yeah.
Ridiculous. Government does not care about us.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, yeah, that my thing is like brand, and that's where you get wealth. And anybody that's built anything meaningful, like even the way that I've been studying Dave Ramsey a lot recently.
Mm,
He's highly underrated in the info space, highly underrated.
yeah.
I mean, almost a 9-figure company. I think he
They're
is a
doing,
9-figure company.
yeah, I think they're doing like 300 mil a year, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. That's right, dude. And so Dave Ramsey's the brand, and they found different vehicles to monetize the brand through, just like anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
except their ways of monetizing. Like the thing that actually makes it, like, what do you think makes Dave Ramsey the most money, Serge? Have you looked into this? It's really interesting.
I saw the interview with Hormozy, but I don't remember which one because I know
Your
he has
interview, man.
partnerships on this um he has the coaching stuff and then he also has these services, right? But I think it was, I'm just gonna make a guess, but I think it was, fuck, what was it? I forgot. I don't
I
know.
mean, you'd think it's the learning products, the coaching and the courses and stuff. It's not even close. It's like
Yeah.
it dusts it. The thing that makes it most money is they've got a training program where you can become a Ramsey approved financial coach. Yeah. And then you give them a piece of your proceeds and you franchise your business into the Ramsey name so that you have the Ramsey authority and you can attract clients.
Wow.
And so they're franchising out, becoming a financial coach. And it's like that is because Ramsey has spent
The brand.
25 years on
Yeah.
radio, dude. And that I think that does like a massive chunk of their thing.
Wow.
It's just a Ramsey approved financial coach. Go to Dave Ramsey's Facebook page and look at their ads, man. It's like the majority of it is
Interesting.
sign your first, sign a $200 an hour financial coaching client. Yeah, dude. And you get the
Wow.
Ramsey authority. Yeah. Isn't that wild? That's how they make most of their money. So it's like I just keep coming back to like brand over and over again. And then what is a brand? It's a story, it's a figure, it's a person. Russell Brunson crushed it with the attractive character concept.
Yeah.
So for me, I am doing too good an ad surge, 100%. But
Yeah.
in that funnel, and wherever I can in our emails and wherever I can with YouTube, as they drip off and find me, which most of them, I mean, a lot of people, you know, it with ads, they don't click the funnel, they look you up.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's ultimately every ad is an awareness ad, even if it's a conversion ad. And so having a story and you know who I am and
Yeah.
being pretty controversial, like I'm a God-fearing good old Indiana boy with a wife, you know, at 23, and I had a kid and I was
Nice.
homeschooled and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
leaning into like who I am, and you know what I mean, and not making up some story, but just this is my story and this is what I
Love it.
do. I mean, dude, it's just like, yeah, the gift that anybody can bring to this industry is who they are, man. And it's like once they stop trying to be something that they're not, and they just
Hmm.
lean into who they are, things just start to flow for you, and you don't have to try quite as hard. And I'm realizing that the past like honestly this past couple months, man. Because like
Yeah.
when you're married, you can't be one thing to your wife and then one thing to the internet. You have to be one thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, dude, it's super fun. But
Yeah.
that's yeah, dude. Looking at that, the Dave Ramsey thing, it's
I will. I will.
wild how much.
I'm about to look it up online right now. But no, I love it. I love it, man. Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you for jumping on, man. And thank you for, giving me your time for us to chat. I think it was great to connect. And yeah, man.
I respect what you built. Seriously, I look up to you in a lot of ways. You're super smart, super intuitive. I can tell that you just kind of follow your intuition and you don't, you just, I admire it a ton, dude. So I look up to you in a lot of
Appreciate you.
ways. So I'm happy to have been on here, man.
Appreciate you, man.
So
Yeah, no, love it, love it. And then when I'm ready to have a kid, I'm gonna hit you up and then I'm gonna need some lessons ASAP.
yeah, dude. Well, we didn't like, dude, we didn't expect it.
You
You know what
didn't
I mean?
plan
So
it,
it's like,
right?
yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, my wife and I discussed if we want to be public about the fact that we weren't planning on it. I'm like, yeah, we'll be public because it's a part of our
Yeah.
story. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like God's plan, man. Man makes plans just for God
Yeah.
to like laugh in his face kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I
But I
mean?
think it
And
will
it's
make you even tap into such a crazy level, man. And I think it was
oh,
gonna
it's,
be even the brand. Oh, bro.
yeah.
Like the
Oh,
brand you're
bro,
gonna,
you have
because right
no
now we're
idea what
young. some people
Yeah.
don't even look at us. They're like, yeah, this kid is just trying to scam more people. But like when
Yeah.
you get a family, when you build a family, you get married, like that's a different level of like commitment where it's like, okay, now you're
Right.
not just fake guru of
Cardone
money
is an
type.
example of that. Cardone is a guy I've been studying for that specifically about like how to use the family in a way that you still
Mm,
have an actual good relationship with the family. Like they're not a
yeah,
sales piece. And if they don't want to be, they don't have to be. But because like you can't just have this is what I talk about high resolution thinking. I don't do business solutions. I'm looking at like whole life solutions. Who's kind of figured it out in the way that I want to figure it out?
yeah,
Cardone's kind of
yeah,
there. Like, I mean, his family's a part of it in a way. And like, so,
yeah,
yeah, dude, that's why I haven't bought a mastermind or anything. Unless if somebody has a how to be an 8-figure company owner with a wife and kids mastermind, without sacrificing your marriage, then I'll
yeah.
throw my money at you. But, until somebody comes out with that, yeah, I'm not paying.
You're not. Yeah, no, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, man. No, I'm
Well,
really
man,
excited and yeah, looking forward to what you're going to be building, especially, as a whole, not just the business side, but also your family. Yeah, I love it, man. It's beautiful.
appreciate it, dude.
Yeah,
Appreciate you telling this. It's a great conversation. We'll do it. We'll do another one after I do the long format,
for
and
sure.
I'm
And
bringing
then
in
we'll talk
underground.
about, um, let's go. Awesome, man. Cool, man. Thank you again for jumping on. And yeah, I think the people are gonna love this. Yeah,
Yeah, man, this is fun. I
let's do
enjoyed
it.
it a lot. I appreciate you, dude. I respect, I admire, and in some ways, envy what you've built, man. It's super cool what you have. So,
Yeah,
congratulations, and I'm just happy. So,
appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Bye.